What up, internet? This is Niels RY, aka You Just Made Up Virtual Insanity. And I am here with a special bonus episode because, interestingly enough, if you all haven't been paying attention to the headliners and the movies that have been coming out, it just so happens that we are in a world where two of the biggest movies that are hitting the streets or that folks are watching just so happen to both involve multiverses. That means Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Everything Everywhere All at Once are both movies that are getting buku of money. And again, both involve the multiverse. And I was like, who can I bring in that understands indie movies that got funky themes and also understands the amazingness that is blockbuster movies? Who on the planet is the best person to talk to about that? And then I realized, that sounds like my brother Justo. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to bring back to the pop cult the special guest from our Justo episode, none other than my brother Justo. Justo, welcome back, brother.
Well, hey, I'm glad to be back into this universe that is this pop cult parenting. It's me, your boy Justo Rivera. What I feel now is the multiverse connoisseur. I don't even know if this Justo right now is the one that's going to be here at the end of this podcast.
What is Prime Justo called? Like, is there like a Earth One Justo or?
You're right. Right now we're starting with Prime Justo, but I'm just saying I don't know if some other Justo might jump right in and then bam, I might end.
I love that we have a multiverse excuse to explain how you just act different in the midst of a conversation.
Yes, I think that's what I'm gonna do. There might be different accents. Who knows?
That was Earth 2 Justo.
No, I'm sure we all got it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we couldn't get anyone better than you, Justo, to talk about this. So I'm excited to jump into it. But to give some warning to folks, number one, we are going to spoil the mess out of both of these movies. So if you do not want to be spoiled and know what happened with Doctor Strange or know what happened with Everything Everywhere All at Once, then, it's a podcast. Come on back and enjoy the full of spoiler episode that Justo and I will have for you. But just a fair warning now. So leave if you want to. If not, prepare to get spoiled. All right, that's number one. Number two, let me give some context on both of these movies. So, as I mentioned, both these movies came out earlier this year in 2022. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is the second Doctor Strange movie out of the MCU. This movie was filmed by Sam Raimi, who is known for the beloved Spider-Man Tobey Maguire series, as well as Evil Dead. Did he do 3 Evil Dead movies?
Yeah, I believe he did the first 3, because then you got, Evil Dead or the Evil Dead 2, and then the Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
So those are all
came on Sci-Fi Channel literally every weekend for like a span of 10 years.
I was like, what is this? What is going on with this thing?
Somebody on Sci-Fi loved Army of Darkness. That was their jam. That sucker was on all the time. Is there any other well-known Sam Raimi movies besides Spider-Man and Evil Dead?
Going on Sam Raimi, I guess we could think about the Dark Man, which is this action movie with Liam Neeson. Yeah, which is kind of like his setup for, I guess some will argue about Spider-Man, because it's his own superhero movie that he always wanted to try to do, and then now some of the same stuff in that movie is in the first Spider-Man. So you're
Shout out to Dark Man.
It's also, the prototype. It's like where the bones are before he got better at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're not gonna review Dark Man, but shout out to Dark Man.
We're not reviewing Dark Man. Shout out.
He's kind of like a combination of the Question and the Chameleon. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, he does other movies that aren't always horror. I can't remember all of them, but because I only like the horror ones.
Yep.
I
That
think
I mean, we don't really know the non-horror Sam Raimi movies.
I know
We're not here for that.
I get shocked when I find out. Oh wait, this movie does no horror. But I know Drag Me to Hell is another fan favorite.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. That's scary as hell. That crazy old lady.
And I realized that's PG-13. So he's really good at pulling off these like scary movies that you remember later. You're like, man, that was a scary movie. Because I did it the other day to myself, and I go back to Drag Me to Hell. I'm like, oh, it's PG-13. Why do I remember, this being such a scary ass movie? So he's good at it. He's just good.
The brother is a pro. So that is the director, and that is Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Other things you should know is that it stars not just Doctor Strange, but I will say Wanda Maximoff, but like I should probably say the Scarlet Witch, because we got the Scarlet Witch. And it has America Chavez, the multiverse jumper, and a couple other cast of characters that we will talk about later. But yeah, that was Doctor Strange. And the other movie that we're talking about is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie was directed by the Daniels, who I don't know too much about.
I only know a little bit. I mean, I know they were music video directors, so they're known for making that Turn Down for What? That one with Lil Jon. Yes. And where they just keep stomping through the floors. So they make, I guess, crazy music videos where they do like crazy effects in them. And then they did this before this one. They did this movie called, their first one was called Swiss Army Men with the two dudes from Harry Potter.
Yeah, Paul Dano and what's his name?
Daniel Radcliffe and
they were both in it.
The Rupert, they're like attached to each other. They're like some type of Siamese twins. I only watched it once, and I
was it good?
This looks good. It was good, but I gotta go rewatch it again because I don't remember. I just remember being like, "What is this movie? Do I like it? Is it weird? It's weird. All right, whatever." But
that sounds like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, it looks like that's their first movie where we got some money to do stuff. Now they gave us, people liked it. Give us some more money. And then they're like, oh, everything all at once.
The movie, it stars Michelle Yeoh. I don't know how to say her last name.
Sorry if we said it wrong.
But she is a legend. You've seen her, you know her. She was in some Marvel movies. I mean, like, she is a amazing star, and she killed it in this movie. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. She is a movie star. She demolished it. And that is with me saying that Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. But like Michelle Yeoh, she stole the show. She killed it. And I just said Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. She did a phenomenal job. And also, Data from the Goonies is in this movie. Did you know that, Justo?
Of course you did. I did see it, but then I
asked that question and I forgot who I was talking to.
No, but like his story was like, because I fanboyed over this movie after it came out, went down the rabbit hole, and he's got that sad backstory where he's like, yeah, I gave up on acting in Hollywood, and then I see how he's like talking about how the times were changing and everything going on. He's like,
was it Crazy Rich Asians? Crazy Rich Asians inspired him to act again.
Yeah, he was talking about how that movie, like, he was mad, he's like, I want to get in on this, and he got inspired to do to go act, and then these guys, I guess, wanted him in this movie, and it was like the first audition he did in a while, and then he got it, and then he cried and all this when he got it, so he's like it's a match made in heaven for him.
Before we jump in,
something else.
An interesting thing about these two movies is that they're multiverse movies, and funny enough, Jamie Lee Curtis mentions the dynamic that one movie is a big old Marvel blockbuster movie, and the other one is an indie movie, but some would argue that the indie movie with a third of the budget, maybe even less, was a better multiverse movie than Doctor Strange. So Justo, I'd love if you could talk a little bit about what Jamie Lee Curtis said, and then I'll turn it over to you to talk about the similarities and the differences between the two movies.
Well,
I'll be sure to reel you in when you need to be reeled in.
Cool. Yeah. It's also conveniently while we're trying to do this episode, Jamie Lee Curtis made the same comparison, and she said that one had her movie had more heart than the Marvel movie. It's like, whoa, shots fired. And then she also compared that movie, the Marvel movie's catering budget was like 4 times more than how much it cost to even make the movie they just made, everything everywhere all at once. So just showing how it's that classic, blockbuster titan versus an independent movie that has a little bit of heart, because it's cooked in with some love, and it's not made with all these other people. It's made with a small group. Anyway, both of them good movies. They still managed to pack the same punch, almost the same punch. I agree with Jamie Lee Curtis in that one had more heart than the other, but it's because, I don't know, the similarities are there. Both movies were family oriented. Like the main characters, like were in Everything All at Once. It was a mother. She's the main character, and then the force of the movie is getting her family. The antagonist in that movie is her daughter, but then the antagonist to her is the mother. And I mean, I'm trying to talk about it without giving too much details, but even in the Marvel movie, the Doctor Strange movie, her whole motive is the whole, my kids are gone and now I got to be evil. So there's similarities of family. And then I just wanted to, I guess, compare like the rules of their multiverses within each movie, because I mean, to multiverse jump in the Doctor Strange movie, you have to dream, I guess, if I remember. It's like a wormhole, or maybe your dreams are what you're living in another universe. And then
unless you got America Chavez
and the power, that's to just go through it. But she had no control of her power. I don't know. I don't want to get into like a bashing of specifics of the Marvel movie. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to say. And then in this other movie, they used this other idea of like, which I thought was more fascinating, was that you actually have to use either an action or get to a point in time to I guess time jump or multiverse jump, because you're going through your memories, and the idea is like y'all shared this moment in time in the multiverse, and that's the only way to multiverse jump. Or
and can we just talk about like a unique example of that real quick? Because like it started off kind of sane, like, oh, I'm going to chew this already chewed gum that's under a table, and all of a sudden I possess this knowledge and skill. But then as the movie went on, all of a sudden trophies became butt plugs. And I don't know what it was about the uniqueness of stuff getting stuffed up people's butts, but everybody who had something stuffed up their butts became kung fu masters. And I do not know why that was the secret ingredient, but that is how everybody became kung fu masters in this movie. And if for those of you who have not seen the movie, you may think I'm being extra. Justo, am I being extra?
No, there's some trophies up some butts, but not like it's a joke. It's jokes that land. I'll say that if we're comparing two movies, because when I went to the theater this Saturday to watch Strange, and the first half was kind of feeling like a Marvel movie where they were trying to do self-reference jokes, or they kept repeating the Sorcerer Supreme, and nobody was laughing. I'm just saying, the other movies jokes were hitting. Physical comedy is a lot. It's, I guess, like you're watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon. You kind of feel when you watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Like we're not here to criticize, Doctor Strange too much. Nancy's. But like the one thing I'll push that I appreciate about Everything Everywhere All at Once was that we saw a multiverse. There was multiple worlds that we saw. we saw her turn into a rock at one point. Like we saw her with hot dog fingers. Like we saw like, I don't know, maybe 15 different versions of her. Like, I mean, we spent significant time with maybe like 5 of them, but like we saw a lot of them. And
yes.
Like I felt like I got my money's worth seeing different universes, which is what my criticism is with Doctor Strange. I feel like we went to 3 worlds. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let's jump on this. Yeah. I mean,
you saw 3, you know what I'm saying? We stayed at 1 for a minute until, got kicked away from another one, and then we just came back home. I felt like it was just, like a quick road trip. It wasn't a lot of stops.
Yeah, I agree. We got the feeling like we had just enough time in every universe. Then there was more time in other universes, because then those universes actually were important to the story. And then I love the movie because it went extra meta. Can I point out that at one point in the movie, that's Michelle Yeoh jumps into the character she's playing, jumps into a Michelle Yeoh. And she's playing Michelle Yeoh in the movie while she's watching her movie. So then it multi-turns and becomes meta at the same time. And then that part actually is important to like get everything back on track, or for her, the character, to learn her lesson of love. Like Michelle Yeoh had to learn it.
I was like, yo, she's playing herself in this movie. She's like, oh, Kung Fu movie star. I was like, that's you.
She's playing herself, having an awakening as herself. Like, I'm like, oh man.
That was dope. That was a dope part of the movie.
Do I have that excitement for Strange? No. Okay, let's go with the interactions. I was counting because we were going to be hyped for this podcast. In the end, okay, let me wind down. Okay, the point when Marvel or a comic book stuff does multiverse stuff, the point is to also interact with your other versions so that you learn more about that, or maybe you're on the adventure with that. No, he's hanging out with America Chavez, who has no clue what's going on. They're like randomly meeting. I think, like you said, he met 3 other Doctor Stranges, right? Maybe.
I mean, he only really talked to one of them, right?
Because he talked to an evil one. Yeah. Then there was like the evil one, he killed that one, then he turned him into a zombie. So it wasn't even like he talked. He just turned one, got recycled to become a zombie. Yeah. Then we saw the Spanish one in the beginning who just died. He didn't interact with him. He never
was he actually Spanish, or you just called him Spanish?
Like he was just like Senor Santiago. What did they do in Spider-Man Multiverse? They interacted with the other Spider-Man. Like that's what was horrible. That's where they lost it, because he wasn't interacting. Like, what if it was an adventure where it was him and another Doctor Strange? You telling me they can't multiverse jump with 2? What if? I mean, okay, I get it, because now I'm just describing Spider-Man, so we don't want to do that yet. But you get what I'm saying, where they maybe helped him more. Maybe we needed that. And then they actually used it to, I'm going on a tangent, but then because I'm trying to bring up the Illuminati.
I'm a comic book head.
Go ahead. You go on. You take it.
The Illuminati. Yeah. The Illuminati is a pivotal core group in the main universe of Marvel. They were constructed specifically to address multiverse threats. Like that's what they were. So like the theme wise, it makes sense. But like the premise of the Illuminati is you have, first of all, it's a wide range of folks. Like Professor X is usually there. Dr. Doom has been there before, and Namor has been there before. T'Challa was there for like a hot second, and then he was like, I don't like dealing with these white people, so I'm gonna be out. But like you always have Black Bolt, you always gonna have Doctor Strange, you're always gonna have, of course, Mr. Fantastic. So I appreciated that. But this Illuminati, again, theme-wise, was on par with the book, but it just seemed like, to me, it was that universe's Avengers. Like, it just seemed like they just seemed like Avengers to me. And I think what they were trying to do, because we spent 8 minutes with the Illuminati, I think what they're trying to do is say, so Scarlet Witch is the biggest badass you've ever seen. Like in this phase, you will know that Scarlet Witch is the biggest badass. Let me show you what she can do to a whole nother universe's Avengers without even knowing them. I'm like, yo, she just met Patrick Stewart. She don't even know what a mutant is. This man is telepathically in your mind, and within 3 minutes, you kill him. You murk him. You ain't never seen a Mr. Fantastic. You don't even really know his powers like that. How do you murk this man in less than 30 seconds? Like, Black Bolt is one of the most strongest characters in all of Marvel, and you took him out with a blink. I was like, yo, you're just supposed to realize that ain't nobody messing with Scarlet Witch. That's at least what I took from that entire scene. Cause like I wanted more, Justo. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I wanted more, but I believe the takeaway I was supposed to walk away with was ain't nobody touching Scarlet Witch. So
okay, the point of multiverse is seeing other heroes die because it's not going to have an effect in the main hero's storyline. So that because you're not going to get that in the main. So the whole point is to like, oh, if you want to have that fantasy of seeing how I don't know, Bolt dies or anyone in the movie dies, this is your chance. So it was really used as that sight gag, and it worked. But I think people are let down because everyone knows they were like teasing them on the internet, like, look at this. We got these guys in the movie to make you think this is going to be a big movie because it takes a lot to stop the Scarlet Witch. And then she came and just was like, yeah, she killed them. And you're right. It was to show her power, which is fine. And then it had no real effect because we knew we weren't ever going to come back to this universe. We know that these characters might be still alive in our universe. So it didn't have that effect. But I guess a part of me was just like, but it does undercut the whole movie because it's like, you're going to need more than just Doctor Strange to stop the Scarlet Witch to me. So like, I feel like why did they kill them all? Like, even in the movie, they made you feel like, oh, he's here. He's going to get help from these guys. This is too, him and Little Chavez cannot handle the Scarlet Witch. And she has no control. They're going to need more. And everybody, and they even set up in the beginning, we couldn't call no one. Everyone's doing something else in this universe. So like, what I'm trying to say is maybe they should have been in the movie more, like helped him along and then die one by one. So like space out the dramatic deaths, but they gave it to you. Pop, 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 pop. And it was like, oh,
that would have been great. Like really delaying, like slowly massacre the Illuminati. Yeah. So at least like you just see it hits you a lot harder. Cause like after the third person dies, they're all gonna die. So you're just watching them eventually all die because what's going to go down. Yeah.
And then you don't really have any emotional effect because you're just like, well, these guys, I didn't get a lot of chance to know them. I just got to, because there's people who've not watched or heard or read about these guys, and they were just there. So I mean, it did what it had to do, but it's gonna piss people off no matter what. So it's whatever. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it when it happened.
I can imagine you don't have that many hours to shoot with John Krasinski. Like I'm assuming, so like the brother got stuff technical. To do.
Yeah, like he got shit to do.
And Patrick Stewart, like you probably got like a week with Patrick Stewart just for those films. And Patrick Stewart's old, brother, and he got his own TV show. Like there's a lot going on. If I think the logistics through, it kind of makes sense why it happened like that.
The logistics, that's just a great example of how like logistics and all that behind the scenes stuff can just mess up your movie. How do you feel, if we're gonna get into spoiler talk, how do you feel about the endings of these movies? You know what I mean? Like as far as telling their lessons, or I don't know how they ended their storyline. Because so for everything all at once, it had that it made me change my whatever nihilistic views on the world, or reminded me to be kind and be nice and don't get too cynical all the time, because then you're just going to go to the dark side. And then, and I felt good, and it made me cry. Maybe I can't remember what time I cried now. Well, I do. Anyway, that stuff works. And then at the end of the strange thing, she has her epiphany of like, oh, I mean, what the kids see her as evil, as her the witch that she is, and then she decides not to be bad and punish herself, I guess. And I don't know. It like all just was like,
yeah.
And then, it all collided just like how Wanda died at the end of that movie, at the movie, if she died. Because I think, didn't she die by like a bunch of bricks or some building or something falling on her?
We can assume
that or we can assume. Because that's classic, that's classic comic book stuff. And you don't literally see them.
I'm gonna say what it is. Like, you're right, Justo. That is classic comic book like strategy. But like, I just saw this woman take out a whole nother universe's Avengers in about 5 minutes. You mean to tell me I think some rocks killed her? Please. Nah. Yeah. I don't believe you. I need more people. Like, so that's one. And then two, as far as the endings, I appreciated if Marvel is Marvel. They don't make bad movies. Like, it was good. I enjoyed it. And so like the ending was good. It was a strong third act. Like, Doctor Strange possesses a zombie and you got Sam Raimi directing it. I'm gonna be entertained. Like I'm gonna be entertained. And you got flying little black zombies possessing the zombie Doctor Strange. Like, yes. And again, a key part of this is Sam Raimi is directing it. I don't really know. I'm sure I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it in a different way if it wasn't Sam Raimi, because he's gonna be like, we're gonna put a plastic zombie face on you, and everyone's gonna love it. And you're like, yep, you're right, because you're Sam Raimi. So I thought it was okay. I don't think I got anything, deep about it. It was like,
you're right. I don't know what I'm looking for here. I guess no, you're right.
The Everything All at Once was a Justo movie. I felt like I was supposed to walk away with at least 3 messages. Like, I felt like they were gonna hit you over the head. Like, okay, each of these acts, you're gonna learn something about yourself. And like, yes, you're not supposed to really understand what that bagel is, but that's the point. Like, you're gonna run away to nothing. And I'm like, I don't know. And so, like, I thought it was cool, but I felt like it was super deep compared to Doctor Strange being like, this is your summer blockbuster. You're welcome.
You're right. So, this is what I did like. If it sounded like I was bashing on it, I wasn't, because I did like the second act, like you said. The ending was still good. It had a horror movie ending where it opened up with his third eye and then cut to credits, and you're like, oh yay, classic. Like it felt like a horror movie. That's where it all went strong, when they let him do his thing. Like, because that's why from the point of the Illuminati, once you saw that killing, then the rest of the movie was like, yeah, this is straight horror. And yeah, that all, I enjoyed it. And I wanted to point out, even with all that going on, I wanted to at least say that the Scarlet Witch still stole the movie, because of like, Elizabeth Olsen is just as good as an actress as Michelle Yeoh, because through all the chaos of the madness of the movie.
You think you would ever say that sentence?
One moment that had me was like when she actually did look at her kids, and there was a moment where she cried. Anytime the actor in one shot is not even, they don't cut away. They don't like cut to like an object and then you see tears. She was like, here we go. This is what you paid this lady to do. She fucking like looking at her kids, and in one shot started tearing up. And I was like, oh, this is the core. Like,
think about this. We've been with this same character since Age of Ultron. So we've seen this somewhat little girl turn into a superhero, end up like destroying a building. And so they created laws in place directly to manage her, see her get in prison, then be like out here running from the law, falling in love with the robot, seeing her brother get killed. I forgot about that one. Falling in love with a robot, like dying and being resurrected. And now like everyone she has ever loved doesn't exist. Amass ridiculous, even further superpowers, get a super evil book that, you know what, kind of reminds me of a book from another Sam Raimi movie, but that's neither here nor there. And then become like one of the strongest supervillains ever. If that ain't the craziest character arc I have ever seen, I don't know what is. That is a hell of a character arc.
And they did it without the X-Men. They did it without the X-Men. I'm just gonna say it. They just told a whole Scarlet Witch arc, and I don't remember other than that. If you want to count one thing they didn't do though, part, but whatever.
Yeah, there is one thing, and if you're a comic book head, you know this. There is one thing they didn't do with the Scarlet Witch, which makes me think she's still alive. The most epic part of the Scarlet Witch, like her lineage in comic books, she does one thing in the House of M comic book series, when at the end she says, "No more mutants," and like a billion mutants lose their mutant powers. Like, it is one of the most epic things that anyone has ever done in comics, let alone Marvel comics. And Scarlet Witch did it. And like, I don't think she's ever had that moment just yet where she either creates or destroys all the mutants in a universe. And I think we're still owed that. So I don't think we're done with Elizabeth Olsen. I think we're gonna get that part. Like, all right, Justo, anything else before we wrap up?
Both movies are great, maybe on their own merits. Is one better than the other? Maybe because it's got a little bit more heart. I like them. I like the second half of Doctor Strange, clearly. I'm not, and yeah, go to the movies. Go to the movies. If you're gonna see them, go see that one.
Go watch Doctor Strange, because we want Mark to win the bet, because nobody wants to watch the DCEU all over again and then do an episode on it. So that's number one. And then number two, watch Everything Everywhere all at once, so you can just get your summer full worth of multiverse. You'll get your multiverse palette filled just in time. And when you're done with that, guess what? Spider-Verse 2 is coming out. And so you can get right back up into your multiverse fix. So
that's a good order.
Justo, we want to thank you for joining us on this bonus episode. And thank you all, Pop Cult, for joining us on this episode. And that is it.
Straight. Let's go. Right now.
Peace.
Peace.